All right, good evening and welcome to the June 2nd, 2021 Board of Trustees meeting. We will go ahead and open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to another monthly meeting. These months tick by faster and faster. We're going to start off with some public comment, which for those watching, if you're not aware, we are allowing members of the public to come back in to address the board in person. So you are welcome to do that, or we also are going to continue streaming and recording those as well so people can watch from home. It's worked out great and is actually a great way of archiving our meetings. So we will start off with Chris Nolan Parker. You can come on in, Chris. She's here to address the board. Welcome.
So I have little pamphlets for folks, and I hand them out.
You're all in the back.
I have to mark just in case.
Thank you.
You speak all hands.
Sure. Okay, thanks, I'll sit. Yeah, that works. And I have Rachel here with me. She's been helping me on this potential project. So I'm here to talk to everybody about exploring the idea of a Pride sidewalk. So happy Pride, everybody. It's Pride Month. The month of June is a time to celebrate LGBTQ people in their lives. So we're trying to bring something hope-filled to Cambridge. It's been a long year. And rainbows not only mean things to the LGBTQ community, but they can mean different things to other folks. We saw the 518 rainbow hunt, etc. And so bringing a little spirit to the town. So we did some research in coming in, not that it is comprehensive, but we did a little bit about where this could go. So Rachel was awesome and reached out to the Department of Transportation, and we were trying to figure out, okay, where could it go? Could it go across a New York State road or not? They said, no, it'd have to be a cross street, and the crosswalks would have to be maintained by the village, even though they belong to New York State. If they're maintained by the village, then this may be possible. So we identified one cross street. We don't know if it would work or not. And it's Broad Street. We also did some outreach to neighbors of that crosswalk. So the Cambridge, also the green space across from the Cambridge is owned by the same owner. That's listed there too, the co-op and Argyle Brewery. So the co-op and the Cambridge both said they have our support. Argyle Brewery, the owner, was off the grid in Maine on vacation, so we're waiting to see if that would work. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into this. I will say that we're not seeking funding from the village at all. It will be self-funded by individuals who are supported that are not present. We have handfuls of those folks, so paint, supplies, etc. If it was approved. Obviously, you might not be able to make that decision in this meeting.
Yeah, tonight we definitely wouldn't, because we'd have to talk to council as well as our liability insurance to get those worked out. Also, I don't know if you noticed that there actually is no crosswalks in the village currently on side streets that are maintained by the village, or center lines for that matter, because of the liability issue. So the village had opted historically never do crosswalks because of that. But the one identified in the picture is currently a state crosswalk.
Okay. I mean, we're open to
yes.
other crosswalks if it.
So I just, sorry.
No, you're good.
I spoke at length with an engineer from New York State DOT, and he said that it's not the designation of the crosswalk, it's the designation of the roadway that the crosswalk crosses.
Right.
So that if Broad Street is a village street, it should be okay. After you spoke with Chris this evening, I reached out to him again just to be sure it was accurate, and I'm awaiting a response, so we can update you as soon as we hear back from him.
Yeah, I know when we had some crosswalk issues where South Main and Main Street, so you have the four on that road, South Main, or South Union and North Union are our roads.
Sure.
And when the state did their painting project, they didn't paint one. And so at that time, I reached out to DOT and said, look, you missed this, you missed the crosswalk. When will you be back? And they're like, well, we don't know. We harassed them for 2 years. So I actually was gonna send our DPW to go paint it, which at that time DOT told us, if you paint that crosswalk, it is now yours and you take liability. So we opted to not do that at that time. But that stuff we can definitely chat with DOT about, chat with council about, chat with liability insurance about, and see where that all takes us.
Wonderful.
Just out of curiosity, have you spoken to anybody in Saratoga Springs?
We've outreached to them, we just haven't heard back yet about their process. There's different processes that went into like the Albany as compared to the Saratoga. Like, for example, the Albany painting project was much more expensive, if you will, as compared to the Saratoga project, just
Yeah.
based on supplies. But we're waiting for more information from Saratoga Pride.
And I don't believe, oops, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. In Albany, Central Ave is technically a state highway, but because of the way it's designated through the engineers, Albany can do whatever it wants with it. So there are even state highways where the crosswalks are the domain of the village or municipality.
Yep, yeah, we'll get doing some research and see where it takes us, on that.
Do you know about how long we would wait to hear back in general?
It would be totally based on what council can find out. Also our liability insurance, what that means in terms of that, because like I said, we don't actually have other crosswalks at this moment because of the liability factor. Because I had a person, it was about 4 years ago, well, no, it was actually before, it was our previous attorney, we had a person approach us about doing a piano crosswalk. And at that time, we had told them that we couldn't do it because of the liability factor. It was gonna cost too much. And then also the traffic laws as well as to, what does this mean in terms of, we're veering away from the traditional white crosswalk, how does that impact, et cetera. But that's stuff that we can all sort out and get answers for, so that we have the best answers. A time frame I can't necessarily say, I mean, our next board meeting is July. So I would hope we'd have an answer for at least, is it the 7th?
Yeah.
That would be the soonest that the board could approve.
Okay.
This would require action by the board?
This would require action by the
Okay.
board.
It's taxpayer
It's public
money, taxpayer
property.
roads.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure,
I mean, I don't know
understood.
if there's even, I'd have to ask the attorney, but if there's even more permissions that we need to get because it's taxpayer roads that we'd be, painting on. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe could we do something tonight that's preemptive so that they can move forward with it if we get all of the approvals that we need?
Like
So we don't
I
have
would,
to-
I would feel
I'm not
comfortable
ready
doing
for
that
that.
so we know where the liability
Liability
factors
is huge.
are. Because if,
Can we talk, what are we talking about liability?
If
So you
If
take
there's an
responsibility. If someone gets hit on that crosswalk or there's an accident, the village could be sued because of that.
Okay,
Then they could,
Because we
they could be,
Because we painted it?
Because it's a crosswalk.
Because we allowed it.
It's a crosswalk.
Technically, I don't even know if we can allow them to paint it. We may have to have DPW paint it as well, because that's another liability factor. That's something we'll have to get together with the insurance company on, and, they cover municipalities all over the place, so I'm sure they probably have a template of all these answers that we're asking. Yeah, and then also too, it also leads us to the next step of, where does this put this in terms of, if we allow one group to paint something, do we have to allow another? Where do we draw the line? Can we say no? Can we not? And that's the waters we're going around. Because we want to treat, our goal is we always treat everybody the same. Everybody has the same opportunity when it comes to the public property. So we have a beautiful rainbow on one street. Next month, someone wants something else. Jesus Saves on another street. Can we say no to that? Probably not. That's where we have to keep that in mind too. What groups could we say no to if we didn't want their message on the streets? Or can we, after we allow one message, can we say no to another message?
I thought about that a little bit in terms of
Yeah.
how the police department has like a diversity and inclusion plan, and like Cambridge in general has a diversity and inclusion plan. So I'd imagine that in considering some of those, thinking about people at the margins should be centered in some of those conversations, considering the conversations happening in Cambridge, just as presenting that to you all.
Yeah.
Because you can have policies, but if they aren't reflected in symbols or actions, what do they mean?
And I would advise you not paint Jesus saves, it would violate the First Amendment establishment clause.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm giving you, but I'm giving you where we're going with this.
Yeah.
If you allow one type of image or group to have something, what does that open us up to for further down the road? That's something we would definitely need to think about. You know, we can have everything on every street and we're just all inclusive of everybody's beliefs, you know, hey, that would be great too. But we also have to be cognizant that some person's beliefs do offend another person's beliefs, and then that, you know, I don't want that to
But if
happen.
it's your own
Yeah.
personal property, that's another thing.
Yeah,
Right.
I just wanna note that like LGBTQ identities isn't a belief, it's inherently,
Right.
I'm just noting that in
Yeah.
this conversation, because
course.
like,
Important
your religion
Very important.
is something you can choose. So like me being transgender and queer is not something I can choose. And so like young people in our town cannot choose that. So that's a pretty clear distinction.
Yeah.
That's the
Liability.
difference.
Which is true, and we, you know, we support everyone,
Absolutely.
personal choices. Everybody has,
Right,
we
and like I'm
support
saying-
choices.
It's not a choice.
Right, but what I'm saying
Right, I just wanna be
I-
clear on the
I
language where you.
I understand, but you have to acknowledge that there is a certain amount of other things that may come into play. You know, if we allow a rainbow, which represents many different
Sure.
belief systems actually, which is a beautiful thing that, you know, probably doesn't offend most people because we all love
Yeah.
beautiful rainbows. But we need to be cognizant the messages that are being sent though as
absolutely.
well. And how do each of the messages, you send one message, but then where do we say no to another message?
Absolutely.
That's something we're
Yeah.
gonna have to take in consideration.
Yeah.
Because it is public property.
Mhm.
And why everyone, you know, makes personal choices and we celebrate each other's personal choices, that doesn't mean every person who funds everything that is public celebrates those choices, and we have to be cognizant of that as
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think we've got enough information to start with.
Thanks for the time, I think I'm probably almost.
No, that's okay, because we've asked you questions, we're the reason
Yeah.
you
Oh,
kept
okay,
over.
for sure.
You did great, you did great.
Yeah, and if possible, like I know that these meetings, my pronouns are they, them, not she, her. So I just wanted to make sure that was reflected in these notes here. So,
Sure.
all right, folks, thanks for the time.
Thank
Let us
you.
know where you land. And if we get information from Saratoga Pride and Albany Pride, we will
Please
certainly.
please
Yeah,
forward
that would
any
be very
information
helpful.
you have, that would be
Thanks, folks.
helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. It's so good to have some members of the public back.
Yeah. It is.
All right, I think that is all for public comments. I don't believe we received any additional. Lance?
He's just opening the door.
We have nothing else for additional public comments, do we?
No, ma'am.
All right. So, is Steve on? Do you see if Steve is on?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, turn him up a little bit, the volume.
There's Steve. Yep, Steve's in that little box right
Turn
there.
the computer volume
I'm
up.
Let's see.
So since Steve can be on limited time, we're gonna switch up the order of the meeting just a little bit. We're gonna come back to treasurer's report. And so that Steve can be a part of that before he ends up getting cut off. So of course, we had our firehouse project put back out to bid. And we received 5 bids for the general contracting. The lowest bidder, which was Bass Hatfield, they came in for the lowest price. They actually ended up withdrawing their bid the day after because they realized they made a clerical error. So we have that as a motion on here to accept the withdrawal of Bass Hatfield from bidding for contract number 1, general construction.
Is that far as the standard procedure? I mean.
Yeah, we did that last month.
We did that last month.
Because usually when somebody puts in a bid, they can withdraw it at any time
Before the contract.
They can withdraw for certain reasons. If it
for
was,
certain reasons.
it's my understanding that CCNL reviewed it and they agreed that it was a blatant clerical error.
All right. I wasn't sure. I knew that there's a whole procedure.
What does clerical error mean?
Yeah,
Clerical
Spell some
error, what
words
happened
wrong.
in this case, they had deducted the alternates in the project twice instead of once.
Ooh, okay.
It double did it, whoever typed it up, it must have, and so that definitely
That would-
affected the
yeah,
price
would
that
do
they
that, yeah,
submitted.
Sure, absolutely. Okay.
It can't, it couldn't be like, oh, we
That's right.
we
It couldn't be-
misjudged something.
Yeah,
or
we
price of
misjudged
something.
that, the plumbing cost or the electric cost, it can't be because of that.
Right,
It's
Well, the
because
plumbing's not in this
someone
contract.
inputted incorrectly.
right.
Information, yep, and that's what happened in this instance, it was double done.
And how
On the
did they
one.
prove that? I mean,
So I think it was, the math error was clear,
obvious,
Egregious.
obvious what they had done
okay.
once it was reviewed.
I just know there's a
Absolutely.
lot of legalities.
Believe me, Amy, I would love to keep them on for that price.
I know, try it.
Definitely, but it was, I mean, even I questioned, and I don't know this world, even I was like, wow, that is way different than everybody else. What's up with that number? And then when CT Mail started, no, I'll take it. If they think they can do it for that number, I will take it. But they noticed that there was that double deduction on the one sheet.
No, doesn't seem-
I know. So yeah, so do we have a motion to approve their withdrawal?
I'll make the motion.
Yes, H.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now having done that, that brings us to our next piece where we had to accept the second highest bidder, which put us over our budgeted money. We have our 3.7 in bond and our 100,
highest or second lowest?
or the second lowest, sorry. No, we can't do the top two highest. They're way out of range. The second lowest, which put us over our funds that we have by $96,000. So I've been working the weekend trying to figure out what do we do so we do not have to make cuts. CT Mail did go through the bid proposal and highlighted items that could be cut out without affecting the integrity of the building. Was the gravel parking lot in the back, the top coat on the side parking lot. The generator was a huge piece. The generator bid actually came in at $45,000. Which was actually significantly less than what we had in the original estimate. Our original estimate had the generator at $78,000. So that was a huge savings, but they added that to the deduct simply to get us down to the number we need to be down if we were to do that.
Does that mean there wouldn't be a generator?
Oh, we would have to do it, it just
Right.
would not be part of
Ah,
this
yes.
contract
Gotcha.
right now.
Fair enough.
So he picked items that could be done at a later date. So it was that tile in the bathrooms, there was gonna be wainscoting tile, that was gonna be gone, that was deducted. The roll top screen, like door that's between the meeting room and the kitchen, that was gonna be taken out. So it was minimal items that were taken out, but still they were $96,496, those items. So I had done some research to see, is there any way we can keep this in? Because we're also locking in those prices.
Mhm.
6 months to a year, we go to do those same things, the price could be way different.
Yes.
Top coat could be way
Could
different,
be
more,
more.
yeah.
Sure, I can win the lottery tomorrow.
So I
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I reached out to Senator Schumer's office, late Thursday afternoon when I got the news about Bestfield withdrawing their bid. They called me back on Friday, Senator Schumer's chief of staff, and I had some questions in regards to how could we use the rescue funds toward this project. And he said the easiest, cleanest way to do it was to go through our revenue before COVID and then during COVID and to see if there was any significant change in the revenue. If there is, we can take that money and pay ourselves back the revenue loss right away and put that toward the firehouse, no questions asked. So Les and I did the revenue. We only were down $5,312 from our 2019, 2020 budget till this year.
That was such good news last month.
So
So how much?
we only lost $5,312 between Well, it would be our full year of 2018, 2019 was our budget year prior to COVID hitting, because last year was our 2019, 2020 budget when we were already in COVID. We actually, last year, we made more revenue. We were at $1,368,000. This year, we just ended on the 31st with $1,363,000. So a little fluctuation there, but not much. So that was out. So I then asked, can we just spend it and certify it, And he said, he's not in a position because he is not the U.S. Treasury. He's not certifying, so he could not tell us yes or no. But he did say that you guys make a great case for this being a COVID-related expense because your vote was delayed 6 months due to COVID, which halted this project. He also said the fluctuation in the cost of goods and services is directly related to COVID.
I mean, that 6 months was.
That 6 months was
Hundreds
a
of
killer on
thousands of
this
dollars.
project, absolutely. Absolutely, so we could take the chance where the way it works is you spend your rescue fund money and then you send your certification into the US Treasury and then they review it and tell you, yes, it's a legitimate expense. No, it's not, you need to pay us back. So that's a possibility, but
Any idea how long that process could be? We should probably hold a good amount, like, we should probably keep a balance or a reserve somewhere just in case we have to.
well,
Spend it, right?
that's the thing is, I have some options before we
Yeah.
would ever
Oh,
need
okay.
to get to the rescue fund
Okay.
money. Because we're not spending all the money right now. We're gonna be spending over the next year with our final payments happening spring of next year for when it's complete. So that does give us time for that. So I had Les, of course, do a projected cash flow statement. I can just pass those around. That number on the bottom of 307,144, that is prior to our air pack bill. So our air pack bill has not hit our bank yet. So if we take out 223,575, which was the air packs, that leaves us $83,569 in fund balance at the end of this fiscal year. So we do have some fund balance. Now, if the grant money comes back to the FD in July, which we will know that,
Got all of that.
we get refunded that 223, there's our 96, no problem, and even other projects as necessary. Also another option, because I like to make sure we have options, I don't like putting all our eggs in one basket and praying it works out because in the 6 years I've been here, nothing works out how you plan it to work out. You have to have alternate
You're
plans.
saying it's consistent. then.
It's consistently unplannable. Consistently unplannable. So we do have our firehouse reserve. The firehouse reserve, which we typically use for trucks, equipment, etc. If we got into a pinch, we have $81,231 in there. So we could do a combination of both. We could take some from fund balance, some from the reserve. But I think the biggest thing that we're gonna have, which I can pass those around too. The biggest thing is that we still have the current firehouse that we're gonna be putting on the market. So the sale of that firehouse, we can directly roll those funds right to help cover this 96. I'm not sure what that would be right now. We haven't gotten appraised. We haven't met with a realtor to see what would be the proper list price for this property. Is it 50,000, 60,000? I don't know. I don't know what an old firehouse goes for anymore. It is, got a great downtown location right on Main Street.
And the real estate prices are up.
And the real estate prices are up, so we
It needs a
do,
fair amount of work though, doesn't it?
it does need a fair amount of work, but I've already had people
Steve knows.
who told me to keep them in the loop when we put it up for sale, because there's a lot of people who are very sentimental about that building and will spend because of sentiment. So that would be the first option, is once we are able to put the building on the market, see what we get for it, that'll determine how much more of that 96 we need to make up, whether it comes from reserves, whether it comes from the fund balance at the end of the year, or some of the rescue funds if we were brave enough to go ahead and use some of those and see where we land. So the motion we have on the table is to, if you go to the page, is accepting all the awards. And then, does it have a final price on it? It does not.
No, it has just by,
Accept the
just by the
awards.
subcontracts.
But Rich has, if we accept the awards base bid, which is we call it base bid when we go through and accept these, because that gives him leeway to take out the alternates. We would need to approve tonight $3,383,723. That includes the 96. If we wanted to take the 96 and the alternates out of this project, we would have to approve, well, we'd have to say deduct 96,486 per CT mail specs, and the new number would be $3,287,237.
So you do have to approve them based on the contractor.
Right,
Because
right.
the 96 comes out of each contract.
It'll come out, that's why we say we're approving the base bid, then that gives Rich the leeway to take the 96 alternates out, because he's not taking all, because some other alternates are in there.
Right.
If we wanted to take it out, but we're getting, so, I mean, I feel confident enough based on our monetary options we have that we're gonna be able to pull together that 96,000 between the sale, reserves, praying to God the air pack money comes back to us and then it's taken care of. I will say that, Rich did a good job of picking items that could be done later without causing too much distress for the project, but yet again, it just means it's something we're gonna have to address down the road. We're gonna have to put that top coat on. We're gonna have to do, the generator. We're gonna have to do the gravel parking lot. Those items are just not gonna go away. It's just, we're postponing them. Yes, sir. Can you turn it up?
I got
Yes,
about
sir.
3 minutes left on my phone battery, so if we want to please do this. Can I make the motion that we accept that blank bid and keep in the $96,000?
I'll second it.
So well, we're doing all of them. So we're accepting the general contract. Let me get to it. Let's see. General construction, plumbing, mechanical, HVAC, electrical, and pre-engineered building. Section 1, there lists, that is plain construction services for the general construction in the amount of $1,595,000. Section 2 is to accept Mazzone Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $213,865. Section 3 is accepting Mazzone Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $231,362 for the mechanical HVAC. Section 4 is accepting O'Connell Electric Company in the amount of $358,000. And Section 5 is accepting the bid from Morton for the building for $985,496. Did we get them all? Did I get them all?
You did, there will just be a typo corrected in section 5, that Morton's doing the pre-engineered building.
Yes,
And
pre-engineered.
repeated electrical.
Pre-engineered, yep.
And that's 985,490.
Yeah, I'm
Or the-
down to 2%.
So the resolution shall take effect immediately, and then we can move forward to do the notice that they were accepted, and then we've got 10 days to get the contracts worked out.
Okay, so we have motion from Steve Robertson, second from
I'll take
Steve
second.
Henley.
Carmen, Carmen,
Yes,
I got to vote yes because my phone is literally dying. My phone's dying in
Okay.
about 15 seconds. So
well,
I got,
record your vote.
I'll vote yes.
Okay,
But, and I'm sorry I know we shouldn't, I know.
We have enough for a
The order's a
majority
little
here.
weird now,
Yeah.
but, so all of these numbers include the 96?
They
and
include
we're
the
gonna-
96,
We'll
they
figure
do.
everything out as it comes. Perfect, like it.
and it doesn't have to be this, right? It can be lower if the costs go down, right?
Well, no, this is what
The
we're
96,
paying
This is what we're
for.
paying.
This is what we're
Okay.
locked in to pay them for.
All right,
But to go the opposite way of Amy's questions, if next month these prices skyrocket,
yeah,
we're locked
We're locked
into these.
into this.
okay.
Yes, we're locked into this.
Nice.
As soon as we get the contract signed, that's the key part, is 10 days, we got 10 days to sign it on both parties, and then it's locked in. And these prices are our prices, no matter what happens in the market. All right, so
So we have a motion.
any further discussion?
Second from Alan.
We got a second, when we have one free vote.
And I think we said yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. I know, I'm so sorry to bombard you with what it is, but it is what it is, and we just worked with what we've got. So I think that does that take care of the firehouse
It
bid?
does, that leaves you with
Okay,
with a youth person.
and that was the bulk of what I spent my time on this month. The other item we have is, Amy and I did the youth director position, interviews, and so, we would like to appoint Emily Jenkins, who's here with us today, as the youth director for programming. I forwarded you all her resume that I hope you had time to look at. But we feel really strongly that she will do a great job and be a great candidate and, for our youth programming.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You want to say a few words, Emily, so we can at least hear you? We can't see you fully.
I know, right? I'm super excited. My kids are really excited too. So I have we're from Granville, but I teach over at Cambridge, and I heard about it, and I used to work for Rutland Rec, and COVID cut my position, and I was so sad. And so this was just really exciting when I heard about it, and I jumped right on it, and I'm just so glad to be back in rec. If I could do it full time, I totally would. But summers don't last all year round. So, but I'm, really looking forward to it. I think I'm driving Jillian crazy, but I have a meeting with Lindsay on Tuesday. So.
Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. And I'm sure you have my number, so feel free, reach right out, questions,
I picked up my
anything.
bin and my keys, and
Good, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
I talked to DOH today.
Perfect.
Got that out of the way.
Oh, they're already asking questions. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even looked yet.
Yes, all those lovely state entities will
I'm
work.
like, I don't know yet. I gotta find the file. Where is it?
Yeah.
So wonderful. Thank you. And a big thank you to Lindsay for the last
Yes.
4 years.
Yeah.
She came on in what was an extremely tough time to come on the Youth Commission, and I thank her so much for all the work that she did to get the program back on track. And we will miss you, and we wish you all the best. All right, and then the other item was Northern Border Grant that was submitted before the deadline, which was just after our meeting in May, I think the 14th. So that is off to see if we qualify for the $500,000 toward wastewater from the Northern Border Grants Commission. So I think it's like a 4-month wait until we know if we do. And excluding any questions the fellow board members have of me, that's my report.
Do we have to use the 500,000 in a certain amount of time? I'm guessing probably, but if you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's probably in relation to when your project is to commence. But a lot of those grants like that know that you're layering your grants. It usually takes us a while for them to even get you the notice of the award. Like, I think when we did the wastewater feasibility study in 2016, when we got the notice of award, it was like 6 months after we found out we got it, when they announced. And then by the time you get the money, it's like a year later. So there's some lag time. But yes, hopefully we'll hear and see what happens.
Do you know how the income survey, has that started yet?
That has started. I believe it should be hitting our mailboxes, I want to say this week, end of next week. I think he had the full roster of everybody's names that he needed and houses, which for those of you listening, to the residents, if you receive that little letter with an income survey, please fill it out and get it back to us as soon as possible. He's giving a limited time frame to get the letters back, and then they're gonna start doing doors based on the responses, just because we are crunched for time. before this summer grant cycle comes out.
Gotcha.
So they're working on that.
So that's how the door-to-door works. They go to whoever doesn't respond.
Right, whoever does not respond by pager gets a knock at the door. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, nice, I think I just have to find.
So, and department, fire department, you were up.
Go back to
Oh, sorry.
Take care.
treasurer's report.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry, Nash, got your hopes up. Treasurer's report, so you have the meeting minutes in there for our May 5th meeting. I believe questions, comments, corrections has already come in, so if there's no further comments, do we have a motion to approve the May 5th, 2021 board meeting minutes as written?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, unpaid bills, so you'll see in there you have your package with the vouchers for May 2021. Those vouchers total $176,437.36. And the paid vouchers totaling $1,904.94 pending the audit of the individual vouchers. And we did end our year on May 31st, and so we usually give it pretty much to the middle of July to make sure all of this past year's bills are in, and then Les gets working on our annual update document.
What is this little note he has in the corner? I guess I could unstaple it.
Which page is it on?
It's the operating statement, page 104. I have not transferred any, I guess.
Oh, he printed out what
anything
he
over
did
to
up
reserve
for
fund.
me. Let me,
He hasn't transferred.
he
anything over
hasn't
to
done
reserve.
the, 5,000 we do to the police, the one we do to the DPW, the one we do to the fire department yet. Usually waits and sees what bills come in and make sure we're all in the positive before doing those, because
Sure.
obviously if we end the year with no money, we're not transferring money to reserves if we don't have it. So those are always items that he does less, but he must have wrote on that and then realized it, printed it off for all of us.
No worries. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And you'll see the operating statements in there for our end of date 31st. Of course, those will fluctuate based upon what bills do come in, so he can balance all the books and then do up the annual update document, which will show us what we actually spent this current year. And I think that was all Les had on there. You were up, Nash.
Sure. I believe everybody has a copy of my report, or should. There's a bunch of stuff on there for disposition. Just want to check, see if there's any questions on that stuff before I got started.
We were admiring your header before the meeting.
Yeah.
So a couple of highlight real items. First off, on behalf of the membership department, thank you for the vote tonight. It's an exciting project to be underway. Finally, we'll have a new home hopefully in the next 12 to 18 months. So thank you very much for everybody's diligent work from our committee to this group. It's just been a great project, and hopefully it'll go off as flawless as we hope it will. A couple important items. So last month I talked about the 2009 engine failed its valve test, failed its NFPA pump cert. All the repairs have been completed. The unit's back in full service. It's NFPA compliant, no issues whatsoever. We did our hose testing last month. We did lose 4 pieces of hose. This is a very good year in our world. So one will end up being disposed of on the list. The other one we're actually going to cut up and repurpose. We'll have additional couplings and stuff that we keep in stock that we can repurpose it. It just is a matter of it's not going to be 100 feet anymore. It's just going to be a bunch of 25-foot lengths. Excited to say new SCBA were delivered today. Matt took delivery of them for us at the highway garage. They will be in service on Friday. All the members completed their in-service training about 2 weeks ago. So we got that out of the way so we could put the units in service as soon as they got in and they came in. We're going to continue to do some training because they fit a little differently, so the firefighters become used to working in them as they have the other packs that we've had for so long. So that's still going to be ongoing, but we're able to put them in service upon receipt, which is pretty exciting. And kudos to our people to be able to do that. Ladder testing was also completed. That's an NFP requirement. It's the scariest thing you'll ever watch. because it looks like your ladders are gonna fold in half, but they were all recertified for the next year, so we're in good shape there as well. So we had a really good testing season on everything compared to what it could have been. So, any questions? And then we have a list of items to dispose.
Right, I've got a motion in here for that. Just reads as follows: declare item surplus per two attached lists dated 31 May 2021 with respective values of $4,381 and $105,000. Surplus SCBA to be traded for new SCBA equipment.
Scuba.
Right, you can't do that till you get the floaties, right?
Yeah, people still say that.
If anyone was willing to make said motion.
I'll make the
So
motion.
just a question with the values, are these the items you want to sell? Value?
No, so the SCBA, we got a price reduction on trade-in, so that
Okay,
was
so
the
that's what
value
the
as
value
new.
is.
The other items, they're out of their 10-year lifespan, unless we could find a source in South America or something like that, which is very unlikely. They're just gonna have to be disposed of
The
forever.
only reason I put the values on there is because that identifies what sheets they are.
Okay, perfect, so I was like, 105,000, there's our surplus.
That way no one can adds and subtracts, so we know which sheets are referred to.
But that was they gave us trade-in value on those.
Correct, yeah.
So we're, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
So the money's already been taken care of.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the cost new, that's the value new. Unfortunately, our software doesn't depreciate the items, so the value,
Right.
the 105,000, I think ended up being like 25 or 20 something,
Okay.
in the end on trade-in.
All right.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Awesome.
Now, real quick, ETA 222, which truck is that?
So
Is
the
that
current,
one of the real big ones?
yeah, so that's one of the real big ones, so that's a
Okay.
1997 engine.
Gotcha.
It's gonna be 25 years old next year, so.
Yep.
That's
So,
what we're working on.
when you say that Chief Gray is, working on the project,
Yep.
are you guys, do you look for used engines? You wouldn't buy like a 2021 engine or
So
something?
we probably likely buy 2021, because the problem is buying a used engine, you're inheriting somebody else's problem.
Oh, sure. No.
We've had a truck for 25 years because it's been a good truck.
Yep.
Right, we buy a truck that's 10 years old, either it's been a problem truck for somebody,
Sure,
or it's been run to death in like a city or something along those lines.
gotcha.
So that's why unfortunately, we lay out a decent amount of money to purchase new apparatus.
Yep.
Because we get the longevity out of it. We're planning to get 20 years out of this truck.
Well, I'd really hate to have to use the fire reserve fund to pay for the other thing. No, seriously, that's a lot of money for you guys to go
Absolutely.
towards it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've had 2 years of looking at their maintenance bills, I've had 7, so they are,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
they are high maintenance.
Yeah, it's crazy what they go through, so.
All right. Thank you very much.
Did you crack the window for the kids?
What?
Did you crack the window in the car for the kids?
I gotta find them, they left.
We're with the police.
Driving the car around in the parking lot.
All right, DPW, Matt, you are up.
All right, I want to give a big thanks to Mark Rogers. He donated all this time and truck to hang up American flags for free.
Hoorah.
Wow.
I
Aw,
also
thank you,
would
Mark.
Yeah, I also would like to thank Aaron Peters, a local business. He donated all the mulch for around the trees and down Avenue Way for the memorials.
Wow.
Fabulous.
Of course, I've done the normal, up picking the garbage, and trimming the trees, picking up the brush. I just want to make sure everybody knows again that we're done picking up brush until October. People are still putting it out there, so I picked it up for the parade and stuff. I marked out the firehouse, where the firehouse is going, so the contractor didn't have to do that. I filled in all the holes, so we didn't have to pay the extra for a contractor to do that. We also had a problem down at the village dump with a person. We knew the person, but we can't press any charges because he's not quite of age. So I don't know, we could get him for legal dumping, but we won't get much out of it because you can't arrest anybody, it's gonna cost a lot of money for $100 fine.
Right, and I believe Danko had talked
Yep.
with the DA, and it's for what we're gonna have to go
Yeah, for what
through
we're
to
gonna have
press
to do, it's not
charges.
How much were they dumping?
They dumped, just about a 1-ton load of, their belongings, their pictures, their baby pictures, so I think the stuff was in a a storage unit, I'm not sure, and they probably they had kicked out of it, I don't know, or a rental place, and of course, the dump wasn't open up here, so he figured he'd go down to the village dump and dump it.
And you guys had to remove it.
So I had to remove it, so I threw it in our dumpster. So if he figured it was garbage, I put it in there and we made him come down and climb in the dumpster and take it all out.
So there was
So-
Something.
And he really didn't want to do it, I said either do that or you go to jail.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
That's what we did, and I don't think he'll ever do it again.
More punishment should be like that.
Yeah, so just, remind everybody, that is only for trees and wood debris. It is not for household garbage or trash. I know we had to keep it locked a few years back because it was being, trashed then. That just hurts everybody. Then people can't go down during, the weekend or week when they want to, and it's convenient to bring their brush back. They now have to coordinate with Natty when it's unlocked to do that. So just remind everybody, please keep the trash in the dumps and just trees and grass at ours.
So what are the hours of them?
Well, I want to do like I did last year. I want to make it fair enough for the whole village that we would pick up one day a month. We'll make a certain day, or one day during, the month, during the week. Maybe like a Thursday, we'll do it one week, and then Monday, or just keep it all Thursday like we did last year.
So
We
you
picked
would
one day a week, and if it was out there Thursday, we picked it up. After that, they'd have to wait until the following week. But I don't want piles in between the sidewalk and the road or on the
Yeah.
sidewalk for a month. You know
But
what I
what
mean?
are the hours of them?
What is the brush dump hours?
It's usually from 7 to 4.
Monday through
During the
Friday?
Yeah, well, Monday through Friday, yeah. But if we're not picking up brush, we're not going down there every 2 seconds, so we don't, we can't see what's being dumped.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, cameras.
We had deer cameras and stuff down there, but people come in there and they keep the piles low enough where you can't see. And then going by with a vehicle, it's not a clear picture. Yeah, me and George, we tried everything when they was doing it, we couldn't.
Alright.
And, we also, we're starting to get, people are walking their dogs and not picking up their feces again at the west end of town.
The park is doing pretty good. That
Yeah,
sign
the
you put in
park,
the park
yeah.
has really helped on that, but the west end of town,
Yeah,
we're
the
getting
west end
lots
of
of
town again is
complaints.
getting, it's on sidewalks, it's on private property, it's.
Yeah, and we did receive a message with a video, someone was in one of the
Yeah.
videos from the West End, and this person, that submitted this resident who captured this on film is ready to go to Facebook if this continues and
Yeah.
public shame people, which we're trying to encourage them not to, because public shaming is never a good thing, but we can't, here, sitting in this room, we can't control the actions of everyone outside of this room, but they wanted to make us, they made us aware of who it was. So, let's just pick up after our own trash and our own dogs and help do our part to keep the village beautiful. And then you had on there the firehouse mounds you pushed back, so the lot is ready, which the RTO was approved by SHPO, they did approve it. And so they're just waiting for the final paperwork for that.
Great.
Is there
So,
a report out on what they found, the whole?
not yet, they're gonna
Okay.
finalize that, and actually part of their piece of what we paid for is that, they put it into like a public presentation for us.
Oh, that'd be great.
So that way, I think they even do it in a format that we could post that online, to have that as well, so. Yeah, so that'll really be great to see that.
And I'm sorry, do you have a rough timeline? No pressure.
I don't know, because I don't know what the biggest thing was them getting it done and getting the paperwork submitted to SHPO, so I'm not sure what their lag time was for as the actual full-blown report, for public. Because I know summertime's typically when you do they do a lot of RTO stuff. So I don't think we didn't have like a timeline on the public part of it, just them getting there and doing it.
It'd be interesting though.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. It'll be great to share, what artifacts were found there and the history. And then, of course, the artifacts themselves, after being archived, will be distributed right over to, the tribe that they belong to, which I believe is out of Mass. Huh?
It's not the Stockbridge Monthly?
Yes, it is, yeah.
They're in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so I think the ones that that signed up on our thing are in Massachusetts. So they were because they also had to sign off on the findings from Harkin as well. So that was, yeah, so it's great to have that piece done. And get the okay to move forward. All right, police, Sergeant Danko.
Hello. So for the month of May, our officers submitted 13 cases to the Department of Criminal Justice for a total of 63 for the year. We had a total of 6 arrests made in May for a total of 36. We handled 48 calls of service for a total of 220 for the year, 3 motor vehicle accidents for a total of 11 for the year. We had 16 traffic tickets for a total of 120 for the year. The arrest types are down below. I'm looking to see if I can get permission to add Robert Sullivan to our part-time roster. He's currently a sergeant with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Just looking to add him for some part-time help, and then in the process, remove 2 officers that haven't had much help. That would be Robert Stark and Jason Monell. Nothing bad, just not able to help
Full
us
shifts
hour-wise.
like we need, yeah.
And Robert Sullivan is very familiar with that.
Correct. He used to work back here in the
Yeah.
early 2000s
Yeah?
with Chief, and yeah, just looking for some extra help.
Should we make a motion on that?
Yeah,
Yes,
we have
he
to do a
will.
resolution.
That's
I
all I
think
have.
we have, well, our standard one we've done before was
Is this just for hiring?
for part-time, yeah, to
Okay.
be added to the part-time.
Approved part-time hire of, what's the name again?
Robert Sullivan.
Robert Sullivan. Into the Cambridge Police Department. At a rate of, and I will pull that out of the new
Right,
budget.
whatever the part-timers rate is.
Do we also have to vote on the removal of the other 2? Should we put that all in one, or?
No, this
We'll
is
do
separate.
separate, we'll keep it clean.
Okay, so for the one for Robert Sullivan, to approve part-time hire of Robert Sullivan into Cambridge Police Department at a rate of, and I'll take that out of the new budget, if someone's gonna make said motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, a yes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then the next one would be to remove Robert Stark and Jason Monell from the part-time roster.
Okay, so that's exactly what it says. Remove Patrolman Robert Stark and Jason Monell from part-time roster of Cambridge Police Department. If anyone's gonna make said motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
A
Any
yes.
further discussion?
I'd like to thank Danko for all the work he did on the memorial parade
Oh
on a day off.
yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a big group effort. I mean, but thank you. But I think everybody else that does all
It
the
was a great day.
It was a very good parade, a very good day.
All right, so do we have all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, thank those from the Legion that helped us pull the parade together. It was a beautiful day, lots of participants. The surrounding towns that sent over fire trucks, thank you so much. It was a really good day in the community, and I think really just reminded everybody of that sense of community and what we're all here, and remembering those and honoring those that had sacrificed so we could be here. But it was a really great parade. I think it's one of the largest ones we've had in a while, so it was a good turnout.
It's nice not having competition out there.
Right? Yeah, we were the. So it was a good day. It was a very good day, and the rain held off. That's what I was hoping. The rain would hold off.
So I don't know where, I was gonna bring it up during your update, Mayor, but I guess I can talk about it now. Obviously, I don't wanna single any groups or anything like that out, but is there anything we can do? Like, would we have to put some kind of a law into motion, or could it just be a resolution that requires some sort of reflector on all vehicles that pass through the village? Like, just something? Bicycles,
That's not the
cars.
state traffic law.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part, is because the state sets the traffic laws. Sergeant Danko can chime in on this one.
Yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah. I'm just afraid there's gonna be a.
No, I agree
Yeah,
wholeheartedly.
right
We
there
really-
with you.
I've stopped and chatted with a couple of them just to try to get some progress with them. And the good news is there is some progress with it and with them in Greenwich. We've
Yeah.
noticed that they're starting to put some triangles on.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, I looked at the vehicle and traffic law. They're not considered a motor vehicle, and
Gotcha.
they don't like or a bicycle. So
No,
the
fair
reflectors and
enough.
stuff
I
like that
gotcha.
don't apply to it. So
Gotcha. Okay,
Really?
okay.
That's
That's
interesting.
crazy.
I think we,
Greenwich today, no, there was no triangle, no.
okay, this is what I heard from
Yeah,
hearsay that
today I
people
have
have
to be
seen
Greenwich.
some of them with the triangle. And I noticed after I talked to them over in the spring, there was a strip, a reflector strip on one of them. So I can reach out to them again and see what.
well,
we
I
can
don't
do.
want to
their
come
own
out because you're
safety.
harassing them either, so don't reach out
That's
to them.
that's why I didn't say in particular groups,
It's
just
for their
blanket.
own safety.
It's
We
all
we're
about
very,
safety.
I mean,
That's
it
all I
is, it's
care
very,
about.
I mean, and even in the village with the street lighting, it is still very dark.
So
Well,
nice.
it is.
And their
It
carriages are
is.
black.
And
Their horses are black.
I know,
Everything,
I
yeah.
know, it is very,
Sorry.
and that is all of our fear, is that the change won't happen until someone is harmed. But then again, if there's no law, what do you do?
No, fair enough.
What do you
And that
do?
makes sense. State
Yeah.
roads, I get it.
And I'm not
can't do
sure
much
we
about it.
can make a traffic law that's stricter than the state standard. Yeah.
I mean, even if you did a local law, it's still, again, we'd run into that problem where it would. So with our local laws, we ran into a problem with the district attorney's office is that they don't prosecute them. We have
Yeah,
to
right,
have our
exactly.
lawyer come in.
Exactly.
So for like a $25 non-reflector fine, we're hiring a lawyer to go to court for that.
Right.
And I maybe on the side streets, our own village streets, we could do something like that, but for like 29 and or 22 and
Yep.
you know, the state roads.
Yep.
Could we get signs up about slow-moving vehicles? Would that help at all? I mean, I feel like most people in the village
There's some
know.
outside, I noticed there's some, the yellow,
Yeah.
ones popping up outside of the village. I mean,
Yeah, we have them in White
we
Creek.
could, but the thing is, we're so oversigned in the village limits
There are a lot of
as it is.
signs. I've noticed that.
There are so many traffic road signs anyway that I'm afraid it's just gonna get lost, and which is also the problem with the section of crosswalks that did a speed study at, on the west end. The state solution was to put up more signage for the pedestrians, and it was like, that wasn't what we were looking for, you know, because now there's even more signs to distract people from seeing the crosswalk, you know, so I know, unfortunately, everybody is trying to bring attention to it as we can, but unfortunately, unless, you know, people themselves decide things, there's really nothing we can do. And just all of us motorists, you know, just be diligent. I know I drive a lot slower the stretch of, you know, 22 through Jackson than I used to, you know, just because of that, especially at night. I'm worried that I would come up upon and not be able. And not that I wasn't paying attention, it's just you can't see until you're on top, even with headlights on. It's just hard to see. So, yes, but thank you for bringing that up, Steve. Appreciate that. All right, are we
Thank you,
all
Sergeant Danko.
all set with
Yep.
We're all good with Sergeant Danko? Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, youth report is in there. Lindsay submitted her last report to us. You get to start next month fresh, yay.
Emily, did you get a copy of it?
No,
Here, I'll make you.
Yeah, make her copy, pretty much,
it's actually, I think she said it's in the email or something. but
Yeah,
I logged into it.
yep, so pretty most of it is centered around prepping for camp, but you're free to read that at your leisure. We look forward to having summer camp this summer, considering we didn't get to have it last year. I know there's a number of families that are very excited, looking forward to it as well.
New DOH stuff dropped like last week.
Awesome.
So I need to call Washington County to clarify stuff, just as a heads up. It's not very clear.
Absolutely, reach out to my grant, the youth
The
bureau,
mass
and
mandate isn't clear,
DOH to
so-
get, sometimes when the state writes up reports or rules, they're not necessarily specific and clear.
There's nothing in there about kids wearing masks.
I think they removed that for this.
It's only about
summer.
employees wearing masks. The new thing has nothing in there. I was reading it today. So I didn't know if there was something that we needed
I
to
believe
stress.
that, I think that's the one, the legislature, they actually just rescinded that one because a couple weeks ago or a
I
month
printed
now.
it today.
There was the daycare, they added masks for daycare centers and summer camps, which there was one for summer camps last year, I remember
Yeah.
seeing it in there. Because of the public outcry, because daycare children have gone without masks since,
Yes.
like the whole time, that why now? Why now do you do that? So that was part of that piece, so I think when they did away with the daycare piece, they did away with the summer camp piece as well. But I would still encourage families to do what's based on their comfort level. If they would like the children to still wear masks at camp, then
That was my question. Like, I think I'm just gonna.
yeah, but reach out to Mike and get confirmation to find out, can we enforce it, or at this point, can we not require
Well, we
it? Or
can't
is it our
enforce it up
option?
to 5 or something like that anyways. Like, there's
Yeah, we don't
different
consider the
regs for
older
different
kids.
age groups, so.
Yeah.
And they're outside the whole time, right?
Yes,
Yes.
and then they can't wear them in the water, and they spend the majority of the afternoon in the water.
In the water, so they're already gonna have them off for the water.
Yeah, so I have an email out to Washington County
Perfect.
to clarify, because those new regs dropped last week, and I was like.
Yeah, you're gonna have to sift through and
These are really.
pick out
Not.
how to interpret. A lot of it's left to interpretation.
You do get an honorary law degree once you figure this all out.
That's right, that's right. Assessor is with us tonight. Bill, good to see you again. It's been a couple months, right? Yeah.
I got nothing this time.
This is your quiet season. You do all the work, and now those tax bills went out last week, so.
And if you would, he's trying to sleep, right? This is
Yeah.
quiet season.
Zoning enforcement officer, you'll see his report in there as well. And also planning board.
And there's been no ZBA meetings,
Yeah, no one has, nothing to appeal lately.
nothing to repeat, right?
How are things going with our friends at the motel across from the school?
I just had mentioned before this meeting, Cara, myself, our CEO and planning board chair are gonna pull together a meeting to figure out what is the best legal steps to handle this situation. I do know the inspection of the property happened with the county, was it end of March, beginning of April?
Who's in that time frame? I have to look at the minutes again.
Fire code, I believe, was gonna be in there either last week or this week, so a lot of different entities. Of course, the owner has a different attorney than they did in February, which I forwarded that letter to Cara that came into our zoning enforcement officer. Also in that letter, they did single me out as talking about things at a public meeting and trying to ruin someone's reputation. I'm still gonna talk about it because I'm not trying to ruin anyone's reputation. I'm trying to point out things that are going on in our community. And we can do that without it being considered slander. But that was, obviously an attempt to scare us into not speaking, but I won't do that because that's not right. Our community requires us to take action and look into this. And there are rules and regulations, if we're not gonna enforce our zoning, we might as well just get rid of it. And that's kind of where it's at. If we're not gonna enforce it, then let's do away with it. And keep it consistently fair for everyone. And that's what our public wants to see. And that's the outcry I've gotten and how this came about is it's the residents themselves who told me what was going on. They reached out to us and said, hey, do you know this is happening? And that's how we decided to look into it once we started seeing this happening. So Cara is gonna work up a game plan on how to legally handle it and address it. To the residents who are frustrated that this has taken so long, I am sorry, but we do have to follow and take the legal steps to handle all of everything that comes before us. We have to do it in accordance with the law. So hopefully more to come on that in future. And attorney.
I don't have any additional reports.
We're firehouse. And after
He's
tonight,
still past 30
Uh,
seconds.
next week will be Firehouse, Firehouse, Fire 2 House 2. After tonight's meeting, I'm sure Rich will have contracts going to your inbox. Historian's report is in there.
Can I go back to the attorney just really briefly?
Sure.
With the crosswalk thing, could you just let us know what you hear, like that was when that's done?
What do you?
With the crosswalk from the public comment
The
earlier,
proposal for the crosswalk.
if you could share that with all of us instead of waiting for the next board meeting.
Oh,
we
yeah,
can just
yeah,
speak
of
to
course.
this. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, library and clerk.
Okay. Okay, tax collection started yesterday. Even since I published the minutes, some numbers here have changed. Total collected as of this point is $17,249.59. Under registrar, since this was published, there were another 6 vital records that had to be done, so $380 this month. There is a parade request attached. Mayor and I have talked about it, and we wanted to get it here before the board. There's an event taking place on private property, but they're stating that because of the number of people there, they'd like to see if it's possible to close Broad Street just from Main to First for safety, because they said they're gonna have a lot of kids at the event, and if it is all possible, they're asking for our dispensation to do that.
And you asked him for liability insurance?
Right, they're gonna have to, just like anyone else.
And another thing for them to think about, it's not officially fully closed. It's closed to throughway traffic, but like ambulances,
I was gonna say,
fire trucks,
someone else said
police
it.
vehicles, all of those still require access down that road.
Insurance.
Especially with the senior home living, the ambulance response there.
And neighbor, I assume that anyone who lives on that street needs access.
And anybody who actually physically lives on that road will still be able to
Yeah,
drive
right.
down that as well.
All right, so do you want me to table that and reach back to them and see if?
Well, yeah, because we don't have, if it's a private person, I don't know what they're gonna do in terms of liability coverage for.
Well, perhaps after I go back and discuss what we've just talked
Yeah.
about here,
when-
I'll see whether that's still a course of action they would like to pursue.
Do you know what the date of?
Yeah, there's a copy of it.
August 3rd.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we do have a
Okay,
little
little bit of
time.
Right,
Of
and
course,
I appreciate them reaching out early.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Last minute stuff does get.
I mean, is it possible for them to, since it is, I mean, if it's on Argyle property, they can fence it off or block it off so kids aren't running.
I didn't do any of the event
Ins and
planning, with it, but
outs.
I'll certainly offer them options, you know. It sounds like we've got a couple there, a couple
Because it-
options for them.
So if it's just Argyle Bruins property, so it's not the little railroad park too?
No, it says Railroad Park.
Let's see what they got there.
It says
Broad Street
So they got
Registration.
permission from the Cambridge, I point that out simply because people often think Railroad Park is a public park. It's not a public park.
She seems to think it is because it looks like
Yeah,
she
yeah.
wrote in this
Railroad
application
Park.
is to Railroad Park.
Right.
Yeah. you
Right,
know.
that's what really, the only concern that they're talking about here is under location and event and parade route.
And yet what they want is closing down.
Right, I'm not
Broad
here.
Street. Yeah.
You're right. we
Right, but
deal
let
with
them know that
Railroad.
Railroad Park is not, because they did put that
Yep.
at the top. Just let them know that that is not village property. That does belong to the Cambridge Assisted Living, and they need to get permission from
Absolutely.
them for that as well.
Well, and obviously Lance will work this out, but is there a different application they would have to file to close down the street? Do we have an application?
No,
No,
this is
like a
the
Swiss
one
Army
we-
form,
this
maybe.
is the one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because it says parade permit.
Oh,
use
yeah,
of
you're right.
gazebo, use
Thank
of,
you, Mayor. You're right.
use of Durin.
Oh, yeah, so it would be to hold a parade, I guess, in the village. That would be the.
That was,
okay.
that should be the, they want
We'll
the
let
road
Lance
blocked
work it out.
off. But yeah, I just want them to know what they're
Yeah.
Yep.
getting
No,
from
I will-
us as opposed to what.
I'll reach back to them before the week's
Yeah.
out and just say, here's what came up in the meeting regarding.
Yeah. Right.
And that, pending your questions, that completes my reporting.
All right, and we do not need an executive session. I don't believe there's anything that we have to handle, so that's pretty much it. We've done another month and we are in our new fiscal year, so.
It doesn't feel much different.
What are the next steps with the firehouse? I know for a while we had to meet routinely, but this feels like it's all sort of off and chugging along, is that
So,
right?
yeah, so Carl will review the contracts with.
Well, we've reviewed the contracts, we just have to.
Oh, you reviewed them already? Oh,
Yeah,
good, she's ahead of the game. She's
Yeah,
already
we've
seen them.
reviewed the contracts from like before they're included in the bid package. So we've reviewed them for legal form and content, et cetera. Now what will happen is that Rich will put the packages together and they'll start providing all the information, insurance, et cetera, that's required. He'll also send those on to us so we can kind of go through that and just make a checklist. So it's not gonna be a contract negotiation at this point. Those terms are already set. So, I think
It's just she makes sure the legal language we need in there, and then I
that
sign
they've
my name
submitted
and
all
we're
their
ready.
performance bonds that are required under the terms of the contract. So we'll review those, we'll check them off. You're authorized to sign them, countersign them once you receive them, and then, you know, I think Rich and the other consulting group.
Steve Bishop, yeah.
Um,
I believe they were planning June 17th was the initial go date to get moving on this. Actually, all of the companies that did submit a bid said that they could start mid-June.
Mid-June.
Because that was one of the things they wanted to know. So I do believe, I told Rich, of course, I'll keep you guys posted with an email, but I told Rich, we do want a groundbreaking. We want an
Yes.
official photo op with shovels and the fire department there
Big
before.
scissors.
Well, that's for next year. That's
Oh, that's next
They
year.
open the door.
All right.
Yeah, that's next
And
year.
then Jimmy Griffith in it too.
Next year's scissors, this year's the shovel.
All right, so, okay.
So I did tell him, before they do any work, let us do a groundbreaking photo op, so he'll let us know, and I'll let you guys know.
Gold shovels.
Gold.
And you should let
Gold
us-
plated
let the Masons
Gold plated, we
know.
can't afford those anymore, we had a 96, so we'll do the groundbreaking and hopefully have sufficient time to put it out to the press and stuff.
Well, consider also, I know of at least 2 Masons in the fire department, you could do a cornerstone laying, there's an actual ceremony for that. Love to do that.
Oh,
Well, that would
great.
be down the road, I'm not sure when we'll hit the foundation cornerstone piece, but definitely.
We can get some VIPs in here for that, and that could be a
That's
real,
rich.
real solid event. They did the same thing when they did Mary McClellan Hospital.
Can
It
we
was
do a
a major
fundraiser
ceremony.
for that?
Huh?
I'm not gonna waste
Well,
time.
we
Can
can't
do a fund-
fundraise, but
but
the
the fire
FT
department-
nonprofit can talk and fundraise.
Okay, yeah, okay, great.
I thought he just said motion to adjourn.
That's right, that's
Yes.
right, that's right. But so, yeah, so we were, as far as we're going, I think we've done our part now, and now it's to let the professionals move on. That's not to say we might not have items that will come up that might need approval or et cetera as we move on, but the bulk of it is ready to go. So, thank you all. It's been a long process getting here, and I'm really happy that we're to this point, because with last year, it seemed like it wasn't gonna happen, so
14 years.
we made it.
Last month's meeting scared.
Last month's meeting scared me, I know,
Yeah.
it did too, you know, not getting anybody, so we've overcome so many different hurdles to get here, that is exciting, and just happy we kept persevering and just doing what we had to do to get through each one, and we'll move forward with that,
But if
so.
anyone says,
All
what
right.
can go wrong, I'm going after you.
No more, don't say that.
Don't do it.
I plan on it all going wrong and being ready for anything, and then when it goes right, it's like, yes, this is great.
go.
We'll take it.
Went just as planned then, right?
Yeah, which is my plan.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, Steve, got a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All
One
right,
in the
thank you,
books.
everyone. Let me grab the camera.